Hello everyone, welcome to the next video in the AI video series. This is one of the hands-on videos. So for this particular video, what we are going to do is we saw one of the design patterns in AI agents called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. So in this particular video, we are going to develop a use case for RAG called resume screener. Okay, so the idea is very simple that we have bunch of resumes, right? And you have a job description, or you may have bunch of job descriptions. In a company you may have multiple open positions, each open position having a job description. They get a lot of resumes, right? And you want to shortlist them, right, before you kind of move on to the next stage. So this is kind of a screening, right? So the resume screener, typical standard HR use case in any enterprise. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to use generative AI, right? Cloud LLMs, right? And let's dive in, right? Let's jump into the implementation. Okay. So this particular one, I'm going to start with a single resume and a single job description, just to simplify. So as you know, right? So we kind of use like a LangChain here, right? So we load the resume, I mean a job description, right? We load the job description, right? Uh, so we basically also load a resume, right? So then since the job description is in text, I'm using a text loader. Since the resume is in uh, PDF, I'm using a PDF loader. Okay, as simple as that, right? Now for this particular one, the LLM that I'm going to use is a Azure OpenAI. Okay. And for the RAG, I'm going to use the VectorStore index creator. Okay. So I create the embeddings using the Azure OpenAI, right? Then from the vector stores, I use the Docker in-memory search. Okay. So I basically loaded the job description, right? So this is like a vector store index creator, right? It created the embeddings, right, using the Azure OpenAI, right? Same thing I did with the resume, right? I loaded it. So this is all my local intelligence, right? Job description as well as resume. It's all my local intelligence. Uh, so then I make a call to Azure chat OpenAI. Okay. Or this is kind of my chat model, right? Now I give it my job description, right, which is kind of local intelligence stored as a vector store in some sort of a embedding index. Okay, I say summarize this job description in bullet points. So as you can see, it did a fairly good job, right? It pointed out 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 bullet points. Okay. Okay, so now what do I see from this? Okay, like maybe this job needs like a master's degree. Okay, so then a simple thing I can do is uh, does this person have master's degree in computer science, right? Because that is one of the requirements, right? The qualification says master's degree in computer science. Okay. Okay, so just to kind of let you know, this is my resume. It says yes. So not only it said yes, but it says he has a master's degree in computer science from Georgia Institute of Technology. Okay, which is where I did my MS. Okay. Uh, so then this skills is kind of tricky, right? Because there are lots of skills required for this job. So you could also say that what are the skills of this person, right? And it gave like a fairly good understanding, right? 10 skills starting with software architecture, right? The relevant skill is generative AI, machine learning, okay? Cloud virtualization, okay? Uh, so maybe a lot of these jobs they would have a cutoff like 10 plus years of experience, right? So you want to find out like how many years of experience he has. Oh, okay, he has a 27 plus. Okay, so that meets the criteria, right? Uh, Now in machine learning, right? So you may want experience in machine learning, right? Now this is a little bit of tricky question, right? So it kind of said, yeah, I mean, I cannot really answer that, right? Because which is I think a fair answer. Okay. Uh, Now one of the complex criteria is does this person have experience in designing and deploying scalable machine learning models, right, techniques, experience with deep learning models, right? Uh, like it's little complex requirement, right? So now, what does it say? That he does have experience, right? Uh, right. So for the first part, right? So for deep learning, it says involvement, like some of that indicates it, right? Distributed computing, right? CI/CD. So uh, now it says no specific mention of experience with generative AI applications in specific domains. Right now, this resume is a little dated, right? A couple of years old. So obviously, generative AI didn't exist back then. That's it. Clearly, called it out. Okay. So now what I'll do is, let me just show you the complete job description, right? So it's kind of, little, it typically has a tuition ID, right? This is in Ernst and Young, right? This is like a generative AI architect role, right? It's like a pretty involved job description, right? Pretty standard job description. Okay. Uh, so now let ask a kind of, uh, a direct question. Does this person satisfy job description of, right? Okay. So now one kind of interesting thing here, right? I mean, this resume is kind of a local vector store, right? However, now what is happening is when you send this job description to the LLM, right? It's kind of, interesting because it will have a lot of tokens consumed, right? I mean, you can see the job description, right? So that is one trick here, right? But then it solves your problem because you don't have to look for criteria and ask them like this as we did above, right? We tried to do above, right? You directly ask like, does this sort of, satisfy the job description? Right now, it's a more detailed answer, right? So it says, right, it gave like, the reason, right? He holds, right, whatever BTech, right? Uh, Experience with Azure or GCP, right? I mean, it kind of, pointed out that uh, many of the qualifications are met, right? It is not clear, right? So that's the kind of answer it saves, right? Okay, so now this is a detailed answer, right? But then, like, if you say, like, it's just a screening, right? I mean, like, some of this is kind of, like maybe it's like, 60%, 70% meets the requirements, right? So now you ask a direct question. You say, does this person satisfy job description of, right? And answer yes or no, right? Now it will take like, like a ballpark estimate. It will say yes. Okay, so this is kind of the whole idea of this RAG, right? Where basically what you have is you use the cloud LLMs like ChatGPT, Gemini, right, from public uh, intelligence, right? So job description is like your local intelligence, right? Your source resume is also your local intelligence. You may not want to share it on public, right? It's like, some sensitive resume, right? Uh, so, I mean, typically, you can fully automate it, right? As you saw, right? If you just want like a yay or nay answer, it could do that, right? Though it might come with a little bit of cost in terms of number of tokens, right? And typically, it's achieved by some AI orchestrator, right? I mean, it's like a LangChain is what we use here. Okay, so good luck, and wish you all the best exploring more such use cases. This particular one being RAG of resume screener. Okay, so if you like the video, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and all the best.